Okay, people, so the finale to the Tower of God, episode 13, finally came and aired today. The first season has wrapped up, and my gosh, a lot to talk about, but I think there's one thing that, for the most part, a good majority of the people that finished off this season and watched this anime can 100% agree on, and that is Rachel, you worthless, sniveling, disgusting, must-mouth pile of penguin dog rat feces on the ground, you disgusting piece of dog shit. Oh, Rachel. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about a lot of other stuff besides Rachel from the Tower of God, but I gotta say, the author of this series, especially in the stuff that was covered in these 13 episodes, which I want to say people have been telling me is like 78 chapters from the webtoon that was done within these episodes, they did a phenomenal job at making Rachel one of the most disgusting, vile piles of human flesh I've read in all of fiction. So if that was your job, that's what you was trying to succeed, you did it. Let's talk about Tower of God one last time until season 2 hopefully comes up.
I say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move. That's how it be though.
So Tower of God, to start off with, I want to say one of the strong points I feel about this series in particular was definitely the characters, because essentially it's about people wanting to climb this tower that if you reach the top of the tower, essentially you can have your wish granted, I believe, or you can have the power of a god. You could, anything is possible when you reach the top of the tower. And a lot of people throughout the first season, at the very least, are competing in different tests so that they can actually attempt to climb the tower. And I think that from what a lot of webtoon readers are saying, there are some details possibly that were missed out on, because there was people that were confused and telling me like, wait a minute, Fornev, so are they already climbing the tower? I'm kind of confused, which that's probably due to the source material. Again, I have not read the source material. I've read maybe like 1 or 2 chapters for the most part, just like in the very early stages of this series or whatever. But I could definitely see the argument that it does feel like there's some stuff that like could be explained better, and I'm imagining again the webtoon probably gave great detail, like Yuri, one of the princesses of Jihad, how she's kind of just shown occasionally here and there, but it does feel like there should be more emphasis on her purpose and what she's trying to do, other than, hey, here's a stick, bam, hey, I'm gonna beat the dog shit out of this rice ball looking dude with legs. Like, it does feel a little bit like, yeah, there could be more exposition that could be explored, and I think probably again that's due to them cramming, from what I heard, about like 78 or 80 chapters into 13 episodes. I've seen them do stuff like that with Tokyo Ghoul, so I can understand if there's manga readers, or shall I say manhwa webtoon readers, that are frustrated with it, because yeah, it does feel like there's stuff that could have been explained better. But does that take away from the experience? Does that stop the Tower of God from being one hell of a ride that it's been with this first season? Absolutely not. Not for an anime only, because I had a blast with it from the very jump where we get introduced to Bam and this crazy shit that he's going through, jumping in the pool with that giant monster, all the stages that he's been through, the battles, the fight for the crown, learning more about the powers in this tower and in this world, the administrators, the crazy cast of characters. I think the cast of characters though is one of the strongest things seen, like the dude that sleeps all the time, or the dude that's kind of a wimp but still pulls through, the samurai dude. Is getting like almost one of every cliche that you could think of, but just making them really fun and interesting and enjoyable to watch. And let's jump into talking about a little bit of Anak, the fallen princess of Jihad, or I guess the daughter of one of the fallen princesses of Jihad, because one of the things we find out is the princesses of Jihad, they're allowed to basically live, and they're basically a blessing from Jihad. Essentially, they obtain some incredible powers, but the thing is, you do not have an offspring. You don't have an offspring with another man. And Anak's mother, we find out, which that was one of my favorite parts of the story, to be honest with you, finding out that her mother had her and wasn't supposed to, and what they did to her, they killed the mother and the father, and it was just so sad and tragic. And from that point on, when I really found out Anak's story, I was rooting for her. I was like, at first she came off as like, okay, you trying to whip Bam's ass, you taking his weapon, like, what is wrong with you? But when you see all of her true backstory, when she goes to fight the one horned princess from Jihad, and she goes into a real epic battle, which the animation was awesome and off the chain in those episodes, and we just find out more about what happened to her mother and why she's doing these things. And even though she could have probably lived a life peacefully if she didn't seek vengeance, but she did, and which I'd even argue, I don't know if that would be the case, because like they probably still would have went after her just because she's essentially a product of a broken rule from the tower. So I don't know about that whole scenario of like, oh, she should have lived in peace. But Anak's story so far from what we've seen and her quest for vengeance and everything was amazing. Like, I really enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed the character. She was goofy and funny, but at the same time serious and will kick some ass, very strong, again due to her Jihad connections or whatever. So I loved seeing Anak, and she was one of my favorite treats throughout the Tower of God, just constantly seeing her struggle and her trying to overcome, and at the same time, seeing this group that was formed with everybody. When we see the one test that is basically like a bonus test, and all these characters get introduced, and that's when we get the showcase, not introduced because we have the flashbacks already with Bam and Rachel, but when they start slowly introducing Rachel into the story. Yeah, Rachel. But we just get introduced to a wonderful cast of characters. Like, yeah, it's kind of a dark feeling and edgy feeling environment because it's like this tower and these people and the administrators all just seem like assholes. And then there's the one dude like this, Leo Rold, which he kind of started off seeing a little bit like, I don't know if I like this dude or not. Then like as it goes on, you start to be like, oh, okay, he's not that bad. And then the ponytail dude is the one that is like, you fucking asshole. And getting introduced to, the giant alligator or crocodile, I still forget and confused or whatever, but, Rock and Coon and his backstory, and we barely touched up, to be honest with you, Coon's backstory seems as though it's going to get fleshed out more in season 2, because we learned a little bit about, him being betrayed by half-sister Princess Maria as she succeeded and moved up in the chain, so that's what really led him to being banished and walking away from the family. And then we get the introduction to his brother, which it was kind of a little bit like, I don't know how to feel about this either, because I'll definitely say that something about Tower of God that's very different, and a lot of it is probably due to where the source material comes from, is that it's a manhwa. It's not a manga. It's made in Korea, not in Japan. So the writing style does feel different. It's like, yeah, you have some similar elements, similar character archetypes or whatever, but for the most part, I really like that it doesn't feel like, oh, I've seen this a million times. Like, it actually feels very, very fresh. So even the Coon stuff is like, I don't necessarily know where things is going. Like, we get introduced to that one brother who's also like a black sheep or whatever, but it, like, you never know what's gonna happen with Coon. I mean, for crying out loud, when we found out about his freaking briefcase and the powers that has, I was like, holy shit. But I loved and appreciated his connection with Bam, and even when he tells Rachel, I think it was in episode 12 or 13, I wish I would have met Bam before you. He's a good dude. Like, he's one of the only ones there, aside from Leo Ro, that actually understands or has a suspicion as to what really went down with Rachel and Bam. Obviously nobody at the end of the first season knows really what Rachel did, but he could tell. It's like, yo, this dude just seemingly died, whatever, eaten by a fish, and you're here at the lineup like nothing happened. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, yeah. Fuck Rachel. I really, really hate her. She's such a stupid bitch. A bitch, you know it. She fucking sucks. I really hate Rachel. She's such a fucking slut. Rachel. She takes it up the what? I hate Rachel. And we've seen the development of Bam throughout the journey. Seeing him at first having the staff that was given to him by, again, I think it was Yuri, the princess of Jihad, with those incredible powers that she is off the chain. She was like really, really freaking strong, and you see the difference between her and everybody that's taking the test just to get in. She's magnificent. But as things progress and you start seeing his powers and the monster that is inside of him that he made a pact with, that is like giant, that could probably gobble him up in one bite and shit, that was familiar territory, like, right? The beast that is within, the Naruto to Kurama, the Asta to his demon, like all of that jazz. And I like those elements, especially the way it's done, because there's like still so much mystery around it, right? It's like, what if this was adapting 78 or 80 chapters and this was a 13 episode first season and shit? We just barely scraped into it, barely started exploring it, and just seeing that Bam starting to understand a little bit about his powers. Even when he's talking to Rachel, he's like, I know a little bit of it, I don't know much, but I know a little bit of it. So we've seen his development throughout the course of things. Like, one of the things that was really dope and intact, and a lot of it is due to, again, the people around him, is that Bam still managed up until that faded piece at the end, which we're gonna get into it, staying himself throughout there. Like, one of his, his big goal is Rachel went up the tower, I wanna go up the tower with Rachel. Eventually he runs into her throughout the test, and he's like, okay, I want to stay with her. And then, even towards the end, up until that moment, you see that he's just like a genuine good dude. And I feel like a lot of this feels almost metaphoric and symbolic. And if you look at it through a different lens, from like a realistic world, it shows that some man will do a lot for a woman. Some innocent men especially will do a lot for a woman. Some people like to call that simping or whatever, but I mean, this is an extreme case, I guess you would say, or a silly thing to even call it that, for that matter. Like, hey, she saved him while he was alone in a fucking cave somewhere, and he, like, loves her, which I feel as though, because people in the manga say that is more like a mother-son relationship. In the anime, I don't feel that way. Like, you could argue maybe it feels more family-oriented to a degree, but it doesn't feel necessarily romantic either. He hasn't said like, yo, I want to, just straight up give you the good, neither. But it feels more like, in the anime, it hints at romance, or just like a boyfriend-girlfriend type of relationship, than it does mother and son. And I'm not sure if they even reference about him looking at her like a mother or not, but the anime kind of portrays it in a different fashion. That's just how I feel. Again, I haven't read the way the webtoon does it, but from what webtoon readers have told me, is like he looks at her like a mother figure or something like that. And I don't know, I just don't see that in the anime. But anyway, let's get to what I really want to talk about. I was gonna start this video off, right? I was gonna say Rachel best gal, and I was gonna troll, and my stomach started turning. I swear on everything, as I just said that right now, my stomach is hurting. My stomach is literally fucking hurting from even saying those words out my mouth, because, man, getting on a reel, right? And I think that this is what struck a nerve with a lot of people, and I don't know how many people right now watching this can feel it and have been through a situation like that, of a very deep betrayal. Because yeah, I'm sure almost everybody watching this video has been betrayed at some given point, right? Betrayal is some shit that happens in life, but this isn't just betrayal. This is one of the most deepest cuts a man can go through, or even a woman for that matter, in life. When there's one person that you want to help and do anything for more than anyone in the world. You will do anything for this person. You will take a bullet. You will do whatever. If they have broken legs, as the dumb bitch portrayed, her legs, she couldn't use them anymore. He will take her and climb the tower carrying her. You will do anything. And to get betrayed on that level, to basically, it's not even just like a little quick slap in the face. She pushed him to die so that she could climb the tower, because episode 13 gave us everything we need to know about Rachel moving forward into the next season, of how basically she's so desperate to climb the tower and see the stars, that the deal that she makes with that floor keeper, where he's like, okay, are you willing to kill Bam in order to climb the tower? And she obliges. Like, Rachel is the embodiment of every bad piece of dog shit, whether it's a female or a male, that will betray you at the core. Like, I know there's a lot of people that can feel me when you say that you've met a Rachel, or you've dealt with a Rachel, and the longer you're around one of these people, and the closer you feel that you get connected to this person that you think you have a bond or a relationship with, it hurts that much more when they actually finally show their cards and do you the way Rachel did Bam at the end of episode 12, and just finding out how she really felt about him in episode 13. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it really made me emotional, mad. So many different things were flaring up in my soul of how I felt when Rachel pulled that bullshit at the end of 12 and 13. People were telling me like, yo, you're not gonna like Rachel, whatever. I was like, okay, maybe she does some sly shit, whatever. But what she did to a man that did nothing but just wanted to love her. She, like, the description says it best. She wanted the stars and he needed nothing but her. and she did him that dirty, and all along was just, you know, he's there thinking like, oh, Rahel, I love you, you know, we're gonna do everything, it's gonna be great, I'm doing everything for you, man, I learned some powers, you know, all these people, we're gonna all climb the tower together, it's all gonna be amazing. And the whole time she's just, while he's with his friends and everybody's admiring him because he's greatness, she's jealous. I want to be the star of the show. I don't want, even if he, no matter how generous and loving he is toward her, 100% authentic, you know, it's just straight up genuine of how he felt. She was just on the sidelines looking at him like, I want to be that person, that you know, the special person. And I loved it when, you know, the floor keeper that made that deal with her about like, hey, you know, if you kill Bam, you'll be able to climb the tower or whatever. I love how he said, you know, the rotten person that you are is soothing out. Like, he just looked at her like, you're a musty mouth hoe. You are a $5 slut for what you want. The person that will die for you, you will throw him under the bus and let him die and then go on with your day. I absolutely fucking hate Rachel. In 2020, I do not see another female anime character coming even within a moderate, remote distance of being as disgusting, despicable, and a terrible person. And I'm sure there's the flip side of it. I'm sure if you really deep down analyze what she is, there's probably some redeeming thing regarding, hey, you know, a broken person. And maybe we'll get more of the exploration as to why she's such a fucked up pile of shit that will let Bam die and push him to his death in order to get what she wants. And I ain't gonna lie, when Bam was kind of like getting up, I'm glad he wasn't completely like, yeah, he was still worried about Rachel until he came to his realization, wait a minute, oh shit, she was the one that pushed me. But he didn't just say like, oh, I love her, I don't know why she would do that, I'm gonna find her. Like, if he did, I would have been like, you simping motherfucker. Because like, he looked a little bit like he was angry and he wants answers, but he's still kind of rejecting too. I like that he's not like, oh, the top of the tower is where everything is. Like, he doesn't really care about climbing the tower. He just wants what he wants, and climbing the tower is really the only way he's going to get it. And it's not about reaching the top. It's about this bitch. She owes me answers, you fucking slut. I hate Rachel. So yeah. Tower of God Season 1, very, very anger-inducing. Everyone, I think, especially people that have been in relationships, a lot of you can agree with me, you've met a Rachel, whether it's a man or a woman or whatever, you have met a Rachel, you've dealt with the Rachel, and they've done you, and it's one of the most painful reminders when you see this character of whatever that Rachel in your life, or whoever that Rachel in your life was, and it gets you that much more angrier, but in a good way, in terms of like, the author knew what he was doing when he wrote this character and made her such a despicable, disgusting human being, setting up for hopefully a great villain for the future of this series, this anime. And yeah, Tower of God, man, this held it down, you know, ever since everything in the world started. That was one of the only anime that was continuing going because production already had finished off and whatnot. But very, very awesome characters, great story, rage-inducing, but for the right reasons. Curious what you guys thought about Tower of God. Who was your favorite character throughout the you know, first season? What do you think about it? Webtoon readers, what do you think is a yay, nay for the adaptation? I've seen a lot of like people saying, oh, it's not a good adaptation. I've seen some people saying, I did fine, it's just a little too fast-paced. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of this anime. I'm looking forward to season 2. I don't know when we'll get it, but I really had an incredible time. I thought it was just awesome and a breath of fresh air for storytelling coming to anime. Yeah, amazing. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like or a comment saying, fuck Rachel! Okay, I gotta stop with that. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Fuck Rachel! Anime and manga for life, boy! Have an awesome day. Peace in. Rachel, you son of a bitch. You worthless whore. You musty mouth pile of dog shit. I really fucking hate you. Have an awesome day, people.
Everything good always comes to an end. If you stab me in my back, we can never make amends. Trying to move to acceptance, hard to accept it. Mistakes like mirrors, gotta reflect it. I don't wanna fucking leave, but I gotta leave. Leave the maybes to the crazies. Maybe one day there I go admitting something in a subtle way. No more copies, leave without a trace.